What's something a doctor did to you that you won't ever forget? I found out I was pregnant at 19 and I was totally unprepared to be a mom, but I made up my mind that I would be the best mom I could be. I didn't have health insurance at the time and I had to go through the health department for my care. They saw a lot of patients and did not make appointments, so if you didn't want to wait all day to see a doctor, you had to show up very early. They weren't really able to take any extra time with so many patients coming in, so no one noticed that I was having problems as I neared my due date. The day before my daughter was born, I started bleeding, and as I didn't have one doctor in particular taking care of me, I went to the hospital emergency room. Again, I wasn't checked as thoroughly as I probably would have been, had I had insurance, and I was sent home. The next day, I started bleeding even more and I went to the hospital again, but this time I was taken to the labor and delivery department. The nurse took me to an exam room and handed me a gown and told me to put it on, then she left. I was having trouble figuring out how to put the gown on because it had 3 armholes, and I didn't know you were supposed to wrap it around twice. I called for the nurse to come back and help me, and by that time my water had broken, but I was also losing the placenta. She came in, saw what was happening and told me not to worry about the gown, to just get on the bed. I heard her run out to the nurse's station calling for a doctor. About 15 minutes later, I was being taken into surgery. I woke up after the surgery, an emergency C-section, only to be told that my beautiful baby girl had died before they could take her out. She was full term and was perfect, just not alive. I was lucky to be alive as I had hemorrhaged and lost a lot of blood. I couldn't really remember the doctor who did my surgery because it happened so fast, and I had not met him before and I was still very sleepy from the anesthesia. The nurses were all wonderful to me. I heard a few of them crying behind the curtain. It seemed to upset them very badly. I was admitted for a few days and I wasn't able to go to my daughter's funeral. I also didn't get to see the doctor who did the C-section because they rotated the doctors on a daily basis. Fast forward to my first follow-up visit. The doctor who did my surgery came into the exam room and asked me how I was doing. I said fine, and he stopped and laid his hand on my forehead and said in a very soft, concerned voice, "No, how are you doing?" At that moment I knew he was truly concerned about me as an individual, not just as another young mom in a long line of young moms. I finally broke down and cried so hard. He talked to me and explained everything that had happened. None of the other doctors I had seen had done that for me. It was 11 years later before I had another child, but by that time I had grown up a lot and my situation was very different. I was happily married and I was better prepared to be a mom. I was also a very high-risk pregnancy patient. I had continued to see the doctor who delivered my daughter, and he delivered my son, who is now a grown man. I will never forget how my doctor made me feel that day in his office.